right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to round number 5 of the North American Grand Prix Monday Night Open Wheel Championship, coming to you live this evening from Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. The 1966 layout of this circuit, a monster of a track, and it's going to be a true challenge tonight. But before we get any further, let me welcome my partner here on Monday nights, Brad Maris. Brad, welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Al. A true challenge is right. So 15 contestants of 44 starters through 2 events prior to this one have finished. So you're roughly a little less than 33% of the field look to finish tonight. But I think we could improve our finishing percentage of guys that stay alive tonight because they have come pretty prepared. I think that we've seen a good, strong week of practice for these guys. The car is, the performance is pretty good, actually, around this place. They still aren't going to be able to race side by side very much if they want to live, but they mind their P's and Q's. Got a good chance of staying alive tonight.
Well, track is, I'm going to take a quick look at the track map for tonight's race. As you can see, 21 corners, 14.12 kilometers, just under 9 miles. And yeah, it's a legendary circuit here. And some familiar names: Stavelot, Lacombe, Blanchimont, and of course La Source, aka La Circus, where we've seen many incidents in the past. And oh, how can you forget Eau Rouge? Not as quick in this layout as the modern day Spa, where, you know, some of the GT cars can take them flat out. Obviously, modern F1 cars can go through there without any fear whatsoever. Not so much in these things. The 1967 Ferrari 312, which we run on Monday nights. But got a bit of a race going on here on the outlap between Kevin Kirkbride and Philippe Samard. And it looks like it's advantage Samard right now as they make their way. Where are they at this point? They're entering Stavelot right now. Yep. Ooh, it looks like we already have an off here. And this is the thing, 25 minutes of qualifying. Not much time to get a lap in around here. So lap times are about, well, not many opportunities, I should say. Lap time, we've seen the best lap so far in practice was Samard with the 3:26.7. That's a bit off the lap record here of a 3:12.4 set by Matt Taylor in the Ferrari 312T. Slightly quicker version of the Ferrari. I think, what year was that? What year car was that? The
66, I believe.
Oh, the 312T was 70 something, early 70s, I believe. I forget, but yeah, a little bit, about 12 or so seconds slower, 14 seconds slower than what we've seen previously, compared, well, in comparison to the newer 312.
Well, the upshot is that it's going to take them about 7 minutes to get one time lap in. So yeah, it's going to take them a while, but they are about off and running. The lead guy is just now coming to the line to start that hot lap.
So as they make their way through La Source, let's jump on board with Zach Hefner, last week's winner at Zandvoort, carrying 20 kilograms of success ballast as he makes his way through Eau Rouge. And Brad, the floor is yours.
Yeah, coming there through Eau Rouge, actually a very tricky corner, as you might expect, but particularly in this 312 with a limited grip on offer, again, you have to drive a little bit ahead of yourself with these things, and particularly when you have these very high speeds involved, right? So coming through now to Lacombe, and wow, so not only second gear, really up on the rev limiter, but really to the inside for Zach Hefner. Now, we've seen Zach Hefner, teammate, of course, his teammate putting in some very good lap times. Philippe Samard in front of him. They're on Samard's hot lap. Well, he's doing about the best time in on record, so on the server. So we expect him to be looking pretty good. Coming now through that Burnenville kind of right-hand sweeper, and I believe the first chicane is Malmedy, if I'm not mistaken. It's either Master or Malmedy. I kind of always get them mixed up, but nonetheless, through there pretty good. And this is look, the entire track's pretty difficult, but we saw in previous races around here some of the drafting that was going on. Guys drafting back and forth and not getting lined out nose to tail before the chicanes in time to avoid death, right? Okay. So that's going to be, so as you watch Zach Hefner going through this second chicane here, very tricky. Got to start turning in even almost about that 100-meter sign you saw way back there. Holding it in fifth, might have had a little bit of a lift, but boy, that was awful fast. So coming up now to that Stavelo complex here, it's a double right-hand bend basically, but very high speed in fourth. I don't think he'll, yeah, definitely dropping the gear in fourth. Ooh, clipping the apex. This is, of course, where Moses got it so wrong, and now coming through Stavelo. Very tricky corner to get just right, because you can take it too aggressive, and there's definitely not enough front grip to hold flat through that corner, right? So now we have a bit of high-speed corners here with a couple kinks, a couple right-hand kinks coming up before we get to the tricky Blanchimont. That's coming up in a couple minutes, so very long lap here, as you can see. And I'll say Zach Hefner's looking pretty good. I think if I look off in the distance a while, it looks like Samard maybe has pulled out a little bit of ground. So rather dropping a gear there for Zach Hefner there through the second part of that second kink, and now we're coming up to Blanchimont. We're going to be looking for the house on the right, and there's an arm code to the outside of this corner which can catch you, and you know it's not going to be death over the countryside, as now I drop into third gear. Very tricky corner here, especially in race conditions. Oh, barely hung on to. Getting the rear a little wiggly, and coming up to La Source, another tricky left-hander to negotiate here. Can't be quite taken flat out in race conditions. And braking just before the 100-meter sign. Looks like he's going to get it woed up before Stavelo, and there you go. La Source, rather, excuse me, and that's your lap. It's a long one, but it's exciting.
So that was let's see, for Hefner, that was a 3:29. Parsons now jumps into second with the 3:28.4. So nice lap from Parsons. Samard on provisional pole with the 3:27.4. Moses pulls it off with a 3:31, a little bit off the pace, I would assume. DeGrasse 4 seconds off the leader. Looking further back, Gary Roth still on a flyer. Wonder if he's gone back out for a second try here. Trying to find that clip from Spa a few seasons ago. One of the most
Moses clip.
Yeah, one of the most famous calls we've had here on Monday nights. But if I do come across it, I will for sure take us back in time. But Gary Roth, yeah, he is on an out lap. Let's see, Hefner is back at it. Alan Jacobs was the second quickest car actually in the practice leading up to tonight, and he had a great qualifying last week. Ooh, someone's taking it off, but he had a great qualifying last week at Zandvoort. Qualified fourth, if I'm not mistaken, and was running up in second after the start, but had an off at turn 1. Followed Philippe Samard off track, so.
Wow. Very aggressive on some of the apexes for these guys, really taking advantage to run over the grass and the curbing on the inside. Apparently it's not upsetting the car too much, it's the fast way around, but still a little scary nonetheless for consistency's sake. So much, a bit of a...
Oop. watch Jacobs.
Yeah, Alan Jacobs, he did make that mistake early in last week's race, but did a very nice job coming back up through the field. Actually finished 7th in what turned out to be a very plagued race with retirements. A lot of guys going out in that race. Oh,
yeah, only really? 9/10 off in Sector 1, matching Hefner. Hefner is 1.1 off through the second sector. Let's see, Kirkbride up to 3rd. Let's keep in mind, Kirkbride carrying 60 kilograms of success ballast. He is our current championship leader, and he is on a flyer, so 3rd through 5th, matching first sector times. John Houston back in 13th. Houston, I think, took his first win here, Brad, if I'm not mistaken, back in season 29.
Yep.
Yeah, he dominated here. Threw it on pole and just cruised to the win. And the Lotus 72.
He was a man among men in that race. Nobody else looked nearly as good as John Houston throughout the entire field. It was pretty remarkable.
Taking a look at his lap time, he's a bit off in terms of Samard's best lap. He's 8th quickest in the lead up to tonight. But we'll have to see if he's able to pick up any time.
Sure, and that Samard lap, that 3:27.4 is nearly as good as we saw as a server best. I mean, not much more than a second outside, so that's a very solid opening time here by Philippe Samard.
So much, a bit of a runoff, huge momentum.
You're right with the run on Moses.
Wait, you have to assume.
Side by side, Moses! Oh, he is heavy!
Our call coming?
Oh, there was Moses going off back in season 27. Didn't have the sound right, but that was a pretty vicious wreck back then. John Watson now sets his personal best of a 3:30. So, excuse me, Aaron Parsons about to start a lap. Running in the second position. Jacobs looks like he's pulled it off. He's going to try it again. Zach Hefner with a pretty good first sector as he's coming up on some traffic up ahead of him. Excuse me 1 second, Brad. Tickle in the throat. But Hefner coming up on Gary Roth here. Looks like Roth might be... Is he on a fly? Oh, no, he's not, but looks like he gave Hef a little bit of a toe.
Yeah, I'm really wondering if we're... Whoa!
Hefner takes it way wide. He's got it back under control. Maybe not. No.
He tried. He was up on his time, and he really tried to keep his foot in it in hopes of somehow getting it straight, but no.
Samard up. Well, equals his personal best in the first sector. Samard winning the first 2 races of the season, but has had a difficult Zandvoort and yeah, it was Kyalami before that, I believe, where he
Monaco.
Oh yeah, Monaco. I'm sorry. So Monaco DNF and last week at Zandvoort 2 DNFs in a row. So and he is behind in his second sector time. So nobody really at this point threatening that pole time. Kirkbride has improved on his time. He is now 6/10 off of Samard's pole lap. Parsons to 3rd. Alan Jacobs has improved. He is up to 4th. Zach Hefner in the pits in 5th. John Houston has jumped up to the 6th spot. John Watson up to 7th. He finished on the podium here in season 29. Kevin Lemansky up to 8th. Giorgio with the nice looking lap and the 9th position, ahead of Chris Moses in 10th. Mark DeGraw currently in the 11th position, followed by Andrew Werner, who is in a reserve role here for tonight and I believe next week, subbing for Ian Jolicoeur. So this is going to be Werner's first run in anger in the Ferrari 312. Jake Beamster in 13th. Sorry, Trasko 14th. Ryan Robbins back in the 15th spot as DeVries improves on his time. Brian Story running in 16th. Thomas Schubeck back in 17th. Gary Roth in 18th. Joel Ekman is running currently in the 19th position, followed by Chuck Carter in 20th. Mascarelli in the pits in 21st. Matt Taylor. Taylor's struggling here a bit, unable to get a lap together back in 22nd. Should expect him. Well, he's got to make something happen soon, Brad. Back in 22nd with just about 9 minutes to go in the session. Greg Myers back at 23rd. Kevin Miller also yet to set a lap. He's got a decent first and second sector. And he is closing up on the end of this lap, so let's hang on board with him.
Yeah, as mentioned, 9 minutes to go. I mean, basically, these guys are going to go one more time lap in, unless they're, you know, like running 1.5 right now, already on track, and they have enough fuel for 2. That's going to be all she wrote. So, yeah, long laps around this place.
Yeah, that's one of the downsides, I guess, from a broadcaster's point of view. It's just such a long lap. Really, got to do a lot of... Ooh, Traskell. Ooh, Traskell. Not sure what that was all about. But that's going to hurt Kevin Miller's time. He's going to at least get one in here and move up, but not nearly probably where he should be. And Miller's going to jump up to 7. So, probably could have had Hefner in 6th. It's a tough break for Miller.
It's a tough break for both of them. Not sure what was happening, but it did not seem Traskell was on. It did look like he was on an outlap, so that, yeah.
So Myers back at 24th. Peter Burke in 25th, followed by Gomez and Rally back at 27th. So who's on a flyer here? Jacobs is on a flyer. He's got Chris Moses just ahead of him. Moses is on an outlap, so he's going to slow down and let Jacobs pass.
As we see Alan Jacobs complete this next lap, I do wonder if we're going to see the same type of drafting we saw in the first couple rounds. I mean, that we've had here in prior seasons. It's a lot of drafting that you wouldn't necessarily have expected in these kind of low aerodynamic cars, right? But nonetheless, it did have an effect, and an effect during the race. So it'll be very interesting to see that turns out to be the case here this week as well.
Ooh, nice second sector here for Jacobs. This may bring him up a position, perhaps in front of Parsons, if he can. Nice third sector here together.
I think he really crushed through Stabilo that time, really nailed it nicely, and is well and truly up on his time. He is definitely in advancement right now, looking at the second spot on the grid, if he can hold it together.
Jacobs finding his speed here the last couple races. Unfortunately, he had some bad luck in that opening couple laps at Zandvoort, but qualified well. It's a guy that is getting it together here, Brad.
Yeah, he held it through the braking zone. That's a nervous braking zone with all the work you've done the lap prior.
Yep, he picks up a spot, bumps Parsons down a position. So 328.2. So that's better than his previous best here in practice. So nice luck.
Well, there's no question Chris Moses has better than the 9th place on the grid speed. Both he and Aaron Parsons not looking terribly great as of last night's practice, but it's like Parsons has gotten it figured out, and we know that Chris Moses will get it figured out as well. Just has not got that lap in yet. Yeah. Now, the Jordan was buggy, and there were some things that were not great about it. But I'll be honest with you, I kind of liked it. Yeah, I like the way it drove. I like the challenge it presented. But these are a complete different animal. And I have to say, in terms of vintage stuff, my favorite vintage thus far. It drives well, and it does what you expect it to do, right? Some of the older stuff, it's just a little over the top in terms of the performance you get out of them. This feels about right in terms of the performance you would expect to get. Still on board with Moses now as he approaches that kink before Stavilo, and gave up a bit of time coming through Blanchimont, but holding it together relatively well to at least advance past Wathen. That's the benchmark right now for Moses.
Wow. My insightful commentary was not coming through. For some reason my OBS mutes itself. I have no idea why that happens. So I gotta keep an eye on it from time to time. So Moses does improve up to only 7th, so he's looks like that's where he's going to be. He's not going to have enough time to get back out there and put in another lap. Houston now, he has jumped up to 5th. Samard is not going to improve his time. Kirkbride is out there still, as is Jacob, so it looks like those guys will have time to get a lap in. Parsons
Houston
going through Eau Rouge right now, and he has got time to get this flyer in. Houston, yeah, he's done. So he's going to be 5th at best.
Yeah, took out a cow and a villager, I think. Oof. Unfortunately, is a sad scene there.
Well, hopefully the cow will be processed and put to good use.
Yeah.
That's it. Samard, yeah, he continued on, and he is up big in the first sector, 3/10 up on his personal best.
Yeah, not sure it's going to matter. I mean, look, it doesn't. Kirkbride's got the weight. It doesn't seem like he's going to be able to get to him, and nobody else seems capable. So, yeah, right now it's looking like it's Samard for that pole. But I suppose we'll see on their last laps.
Janesco sets his personal best 3:32, good enough for 14th.
As I say that, it's probably worth noting also that, qualifying probably doesn't hardly matter. I mean, qualifying toward the front will keep you out of some trouble, perhaps, but, man, this is going to be much more about survival than it is being able to race and where you start from.
I should mention, we do have a Spotter's Guide link on the Twitch page, so if you scroll down, you'll see Spotter's Guide for Monday nights, and let you know who's in what livery car, what number they are, and who is behind the wheel. So nice little feature that Andrew Adamson put together for us. Very nicely done.
Yeah.
So Samard, wow, crushing the first 2 sectors. He is up 9/10 after the sector 2.
Yeah, so far so good. This is just about the glory here.
Parsons with a decent first sector and second sector, so he may be game to clip Jacobs there. For third, as qualifying time has run out. Samard is entering La Source.
Took that braking very deep, almost at or past the 100-meter sign. But it's going to turn out to be a great lap.
And Samard, yep, 36.4. See what Parsons can do here. Pretty devastating lap there from Samard, 1.6 seconds quicker than Kirkbride.
Yeah, and Parsons actually a little off of his best time, so this is not looking to be a great possibility of improvement here. I suppose if he nails the last couple corners, we could see something.
May be able to clip Jacobs there for third, but looking that way at the moment. Nope, he does not, but good starting positions for him and his teammates, starting 4th and 5th.
Yeah, indeed.
So Jacobs is parked it, Kirkbride is done. Who else is out on ooh, Hefner taking the scenic route and into the wall. Into the wall for Hefner. Someone clip that. Alright, Walton's done, and that's going to do it. That is going to do it for Philippe Samard with his 4th pole position this season. So he is, I think he's going to be on track to set a record on poles this season. He has won, I think last week was the only track he did not, well no, he got pole last week. He might have gotten pole in every race so far this season. But Philippe Samard, no, Kirkbride I think got one. But anyway, Samard taking pole, Kevin Kirkbride towing around that 60 kilograms of ballast, somehow throws it up to second. And Alan Jacobs with a very impressive showing here, qualifying in third, besting his previous best last week of a 4th place starting position. Pretty impressive run by those guys.
It is, and of course for that team, very necessary. I mean, we know that these guys are all on the back foot. If it's right now, if you aren't the French Connection or no podium hunters, PH guys, yeah, everybody else is in trouble. So, but this race has the humongous potential to shake everything up once again. It's just been a string. The last 3 races have been, dream killers. And we have another one here tonight. So it's about survival, and we have a lot less time now, Al, so I'm going to shut up.
Yeah, shorter countdown now. It's about 3 minutes to go. I'm going to quickly run down the standings here for Monday night. Kevin Kirkbride leading with 83 points. His teammate in second with 71. Joe LaCour in third with 63. Unfortunately, I think his real life work got in the way tonight, so got Andrew Warner filling in for him. Philippe Samard in 4th with 53 points, followed by Matt Taylor in 5th with 47 points. The team standings, podium hunters, they are crushing the field at the moment with 154. That's Kirkbride and Hefner. French Connection in second with 116 points. That's Joe LaCour and Samard. Captain Clutch Racing, Taylor and DeGraw with 70 points. T-Brock Damban, John Houston and Aaron Parsons with 67 points, and the purple helmets, Jesse Olsen, who's not here tonight, and his teammate Sean Ricker in 5th with 50 points. So it's going to be a tricky starting grid here tonight, Brad. They're starting 3-2-3-2 on the grid, so not much room for error. And we'll take a look now as we're going to run down the starting order here for tonight's race. In first, Not much of an advantage there for Samard, but he is starting from pole, followed by Kevin Kirkbride nestled in between, sandwiched between Alan Jacobs and Samard. Jacobs starting in third, Aaron Parsons in fourth, right next to his teammate, John Houston in fifth.
Nice to have that teammate alongside. Zach Hefner, meanwhile, is going to take sixth. Chris Moses starts seventh tonight. Kevin Miller takes eighth. John Wathen is in ninth. And Kevin Lukmansky starts 10th.
Mark DeGrasse starting from 11th, followed by Andrew Warner, making his debut here tonight at 12th. Alongside him, Iggy Chiordia in 13th. Tom Traskell with a nice starting position there in 14th. His teammate also next to him in 15th.
Yeah, Jake Feemster is going to take 16th. Joel Ekman starts in 17th. Gary Roth saw some good speed from him last week, but here only 18th to start. Brian Story takes 19th. Thomas Schubeck in 20th.
Peter Burke's going to start in 21st, followed by Chuck Carter in 22nd. Liquid Lou Mascarelli in 23rd. Matt Taylor, unbelievably, starting back there in 24th. Greg Myers in 25th. And I think that we got Omar in 26th and David Rowley starting back in 27th. Teammates. A lot of teammates starting next to each other here tonight, Brad. This might actually work out well for these guys. We should see possibly a clean start here for tonight.
Yeah, that's a good possibility, and hopefully that's the case. I tell you, there's a lot of championship implications, but as important as any other could be the competition index. And these guys don't want to go out that are really looking for that competition index prize. So it's a pretty important event for those guys tonight.
All right, well, the lights are about to come on here, and we are about to go green from Spa, and it looks like it's going to be advantage Kevin Kirkbride, Philippe Samard. Ooh, some contact between Jacobs and Kirkbride. Jacobs has fallen back a couple spots, but there might have been a little bump there between Kirkbride and Jacobs. Field exiting Eau Rouge, making their way down the Kemmel Straight.
Boy, Miller's turned around, coming through Kemmel. Let's see what happens.
Pretty good start from the field here.
A little chippy there toward the back, but
Taylor near the back of the field. Yep.
Yeah, but alive.
On board here with Jacobs. He is all over Chris Moses Moses up in 6th. Further up, Houston, and that is Hefner. Hefner has just gotten past.
Houston goes rocketing by Zach Hefner. Zach Hefner really just completely let off the gas coming up there to that second chicane. Good call. It's a very tight fight, that 2nd through 5th place now. All bunched up coming through Stavelot.
Looking pretty good so far. Jacobs continues to put pressure on Chris Moses. Going to have a look on Moses. Something's got to give here, and Moses lifts there and gives Jacobs a position. Chuck Carter out. Schubeck out. Hefner again now looking to counter here on John Houston.
Oh. Smash, big damage. Gary Roth as well. Huge suspension damage for Gary Roth. Running last, trying to make it back to the pits. And Andrew Werner back in the field as well. Massive damage.
Ooh, tough break for those guys. This battle up front is pretty hot here as Hefner is trying to put some pressure on Parsons. Parsons takes it wide through LaSource. And Jacobs going to make a move on Houston. Houston also making a mistake, falling back a spot. Oh, Houston looking on the inside. Oh!
Oh!
Jacobs hard into the wall through Eau Rouge. That was a very, very risky. Yeah, I don't know. That looked a little on Houston's part. That probably not a pass I would have made, but that's unfortunate for Jacobs there.
It is damage for Alan Jacobs too, and that is going to be a long lap to make to get back to the pits.
That is very unfortunate for Alan Jacobs. I really hate to see that happen. Omar Gomez back here in 12th, putting the heat on Ryan Robbins, and Gomez takes it wide. Traskell's going to get by his teammate, Chiordia. Looks like he's going to take it past Gomez and pick up those spots. Back up front. On board with Parsons here. Closing the gap up on Kevin Kirkbride for second. Gap between Samard and Kirkbride, only 2 seconds. But looks like Samard's slowly creeping away from the field here.
Yeah, I should think that would continue to be the case. I'm very curious to see if Parsons can actually get something done here on Kirkbride and try to somewhat loosen the stranglehold. That's very close. That Kirkbride and Samard have had on this season so far. Story
out. So Lemansky with a great start. He has made his way past Moses and has worked his way up to 6th. I think Lemansky started back. In the 10th spot. Now Wathen starting to close up here on Chris Moses. Jumping on board with Wathen.
Yeah, he's moved up. The guy I'm watching, didn't Omar Gomez start at like at the back of the field or something? Does he run at the 14th currently?
Is Matt Taylor Matt Taylor only as good as 17th at the moment.
Yeah, the car's relatively clean though, and he's alive.
Uh-oh, Wathen! The pucker moment there as he nearly threw it off, but he gathered it back up. And, someone's off in the back. That is Jacobs off again. So it looks like he is still with damage, trying to make his way back to the pits. And coming up on him is Gomez and Traskell. Oh boy.
Coming through Blanchimont, not the place you want to be, but these guys are all in the mindset right now of, okay, just live another corner. Oh, Iggy's not going to live another corner.
Big wreck, big accident. Multiple guys involved. Chiordia, Traskell, Jacobs. And Iggy is wedged. Oh, he's done. Iggy is done. Gomez is back out and away. I had a feeling something like that was going to brew just based on Alan Jacobs. He was off pace there with suspension damage, and those guys carrying a boatload of speed.
I was obviously overly optimistic.
Very optimistic.
Yeah.
No, that's unfortunate. Looks like we missed it in the replay, but meanwhile, little for Jacobs is done, and I hate to see that happen to Alan Jacobs. He had a great run going. But back up front here, Kevin Lemansky going to work on John Houston. Really sawing at the wheel here, trying to make this corner. Whoa, Houston. Oh, Werner has called it a night. So, Story, Schubeck, Carter, Mascarelli, Werner, and Jacobs out. Draskell and Jordan's made it into the pit, so they are getting serviced. And Lemansky now trying to reel in John Houston. He is really trying to force him into a mistake, and it looks like he's done that. He's going to power past. Houston driving a little bit with his mirrors there.
Yeah. I didn't know if that hay bale was concrete or not. I guess it wasn't.
But a little further back, certainly helping Chris Moses as he is closing up on this battle with these guys. Now Houston looking to counter here, trying to get a bit of a toe off of Lemansky. Saw from that pass on Jacobs, Houston will throw it in just about anything. Anywhere, I should say.
Yeah, right now Houston within 10 seconds of the leader, which is absolutely completely meaningless. Really, it might as well be, the distance to the moon. The deal.
Both Lemansky and Houston taking a bit wide.
Yeah. Point is, the gap's completely irrelevant, right? Compared to living and keeping it on the black stuff.
Houston gets past. See Lemansky, very patient. He'll pick his spots. He knows it's a long race. Doesn't need to push the issue. He's looking to score points here and finish. No need to put himself in jeopardy, in danger.
Yeah, he's had the opportunity in several races this season. Finally broke through at that big Zandvoort last week.
And there you have it. Houston makes a mistake at La Circus, and Lemansky just makes his way past it. Samard sets fast lap of the race. Tell you what, that gap up front remains only 2 seconds. So it's another situation where we see guys in qualifying, we see a big gap between maybe the pole sitter and guys second, third. Oh, Walker's gone, and he's out. So he got a big gap, but come race time, the gap isn't as substantial.
I think the gap could be more substantial. I think Samard's laying back. I'll be honest with you. I think he could be taking a second out per lap if he were to push, and he's electing not to. That's my opinion, of course. But
yeah, you're probably right, actually. But
and I would too if I could. There's no question about it. So. But no, I think in general, you're right. Parsons is still there, and Parsons could be laying back as well. Kirkbride, you have to think, is he's doing what he can to stay in second.
Yeah, I don't think Kirkbride, if Parsons gets a run on him, I don't think Kirkbride will push the issue. I think he'd rather lose some weight. He's at max weight now as it is. But Parsons unable to close up on Kirkbride. That gap is... it's actually starting to close up here. I think Parsons starting to get a little bit of a draft going here, hanging off the rev limiter.
Yeah, I think we are seeing some effects of a draft. Not as much as we did in the last couple times we ran here, particularly with those damn tight 49s or whatever they were. Just crazy drafts.
So Houston has, that mistake he made. It's allowed Lemansky and Moses to slip past.
Yeah, but as mentioned, Houston continues to fight for it. So those guys now still within 12 seconds of the lead. So that's actually quite good, you know.
Gaps further back. Working lap 4 of a scheduled 15. Oh, Greg Myers. Oh, that's a big one there. Let's see. Bring up the competition. The only driver so far this season has Houston starting to really close up on Moses here. But the only driver up to this point to have completed every lap in this very difficult, not only difficult car, but difficult tracks we've run this season. The only driver to complete every lap has been Kevin Kirkland. 206 laps completed.
Yeah, and most of those on the lead lap. Also, it should be noted. I mean, a lot of them, at the lead.
Oh yeah, for sure. But he is the only driver not to lose a lap in any race so far. 206 laps completed. His teammate behind him in second with 205 laps completed. And that was only because of an incident at Monaco that saw him having a hit late in that race and it cost him a position. Otherwise, those two would be tied.
Bit of a battle back there for 12th between Rowley and Burke, and maybe it's only notable that Rowley's still alive, actually through 5 laps.
Yeah, running in 12th. I'll run down the order here in a minute. Greg Myers, retiring. He was in 4th in the competition index. He would have jumped up to 3rd because Ian's out. But Greg, that retirement, that's going to cost him. That's the one prize he shoots for every season. And that's unfortunate. So, taking a look at the running order right now. Samar with a 4-second gap over Kirkbride in 2nd. Right behind him is Parsons running in 3rd. Hefner kind of on his own here in 4th. Lemansky's running in a nice 5th place. Moses running in 6th, followed by Houston in 7th. He slipped off the back of Moses a bit. Jake Feemster having a nice run in 8th, followed by Ryan Robbins in 9th. Kevin Miller up to 10th. David Rowley, you mentioned him. He has now jumped up to 11th, followed by Peter Burke in 12th. Matt Taylor in the pits. So Taylor looks like he's had a problem. He's running in 13th. Unless he's taking it the rest of the way.
Could be.
That might be his strategy, pitting early and taking it the rest of the way. So Traskell in 14th, DeGraw running in 15th. Ekman back in 16th. Gomez running in 17th. And Gary Roth in 18th, a lap down. We've had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, several retirements so far.
Yeah, boy. Five laps in, and already we have a lot of definition on this race. Now, we get to our prior Spa 66 average of around 33%. Still need to lose about another 10 cars.
There is a pool going on the forum.
Oh yeah.
Kirkbride started a pool as to guys finishing the race and having to pony up some cash if they did not. Something along those lines. Several guys have signed up, and a number of those who signed up better take the crowbar out, open up that wallet.
Yeah, well, you know, it's all fun and games, but you know, at a certain point, you gotta kind of wonder what these guys are thinking that it is they have to do. I mean, are they getting demoralized at this point? It's Kirkbride and it's Samard and it's Hefner. Yeah. And there's a stranglehold. And
who is off?
Oh.
That is Lemansky off, and he's in a tree, and that's gonna be that's it. He's done. So not sure what happened there. That was a self-induced off from Lemansky. Oh my goodness. So that's going to move Moses up to 5th. That's unfortunate for Lemansky. He was having such a great run there.
Yeah, and looking good. And that's not so much lack of skill as it is extremely difficult challenge just to survive.
Yeah. Jump on board with Parsons here, as Parsons unable to make any gains here on Kirkbride. Kirkbride continues to maintain that gap. It's gone down to about a half a second, but Kirkbride just able to keep Parsons behind him.
Yeah, just lap after lap. Parsons, no weight, just lap after lap. Just can't seem to do anything. Can't make any inroads in. It's very strange. And so, you know, when does demoralization set in, right? I mean, for some, a third way through the season at this point.
Yep.
Yeah, these guys are going to have to figure out, I don't know what they're going to have to figure out, but they're going to have to figure something out.
Back Taylor trying to get around Peter Burke. But best lap so far of the race, Samar with a 3:29.12. Top three have dipped into the 29s. Everybody else behind them, 31s and up. So we suspect Taylor's good to go to the end of the race here. He has filled it up with fuel. Don't believe he had an incident. We didn't see anything unusual. It looked like a pretty... his time here.
Yeah, he was back toward the pack and didn't really seem to lose much from his starting position. Came in early, yeah.
So word on the pit lane was guys can do about 11 laps here on a full tank. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Taylor carrying a boatload of speed through that corner. Nearly gets into the back of Burke and nearly threw it off. Rally out from 10th. But yeah, the guys can go about 11, maybe 12 laps on a full tank. And there should be a need to change any tires. So Taylor's going to get past Burke here and move up to 9. So that's a guy we're going to have to keep our eye on here for the rest of the night, Taylor. He's got a lot of free track ahead of him and should be able to start putting down some pretty good lap times.
Yeah, saw quite a speed differential there, so that was pretty well judged by those guys. But even so, both guys giving room there and being very careful. You still saw it was an anxious moment or two for Matt Taylor, being as careful as they possibly could, not racing each other, just trying to get like past.
So Samard resets fast lap of the race with a 3:28.8. So as these cars start dropping some fuel, they will start to get quicker here as Houston's starting to creep up on Chris Moses for a moment. Jumping on board with Kevin Miller here. Now Miller trying to go to work on Peter Burke. And Miller looking on the inside and gets past pretty easily there from Miller. Nice job.
This is really kind of a Miller-type season when you look at it. Yeah, okay, he gave up points last week at Zandvoort, did not complete, but he had solid finishes for the first 3 rounds, and he's in as good a points position as anybody not named Kirkbride, Hefner, or Samard. So, Miller, yeah, could be a great season for Kevin.
So the gap between Kirkbride and Parsons remains at about 1 second, a little more. Oh, Jake from the 7th position pulls the chute, and he is done. So roughly around this near halfway point of the race. It's like last week at Zandvoort, we just saw a bunch of attrition here halfway, and yeah, it's unfortunate these guys having their struggles here tonight again.
Yeah, and this is about exactly halfway, and that's what we've lost in the field. I reckon thereabouts. Yeah, 15 in the field. So actually, done a little bit, run a little over 50% of the field left. But nonetheless, tough night.
Our leader Philippe Samard making his way around. Peter Burke into the pit lane. Jump on board with Samard here for a little bit. Samard with a nearly 5-second lead over Kirkbride in second. Should the results stay the way they are, Kirkbride will remain with Max Ballast, 60. The only way he would gain weight is if he wins at Max Ballast. So we haven't seen that happen in a very, very, very long time. It has happened one time before, back in the GTR2 days when your old friend Brad, Alex White, won with max weight in the GT2 car.
Oh yeah. Love dogs.
Yeah, you could,
and if he were here, no doubt he would be leading by an extra 10 or 15 seconds. But he would make sure to, he would let us know how humble he was in his victory.
LeBron now going to work on Peter Burke. And makes the pass stick. So Samard, so much for taking it easy. He continues to reset fast lap of the race.
Yeah, I think these are just, kind of focus laps, so you don't lose too much focus, not backing off too much. You got into a good rhythm, and now I think he's just driving to that rhythm.
So now Moses resets his personal best, or sets his personal best, 3:31, as does John Houston. We're guessing the pit window for these guys is going to be around that lap 10, lap 11 mark. We are beyond halfway at this point, so
yeah, it looked like Matt Taylor's going to stop early, and the rest of the guys are going to stop late, right? So, I mean, you have to assume they're going to take it to lap 10 or 11, whatever they can get away with. But the laps are winding down, so these guys are starting to see light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, this race is one of our quickest races of the season. Finishing under, should finish under an hour here. But it doesn't get any easier next week as guys head to Silverstone, 67 version. That's a Kunos track. And then after that, the Nordschleife. So it might just be you and I left at the end of that one, Brett. We might have to run that one. So field kind of spread out here. Parsons unable to make up any time. These are the two closest battles. Parsons and Kirkbride, and Houston and Moses. Houston only able to really close up at La Source, but beyond that, does not have an answer for Moses currently.
Yeah, Taylor after that stop and some shakeups with the pits, more extra pit stops, what have you, cycled back up to 8th already. So I mean, it looks like he can really only cycle up to 7th, but considering his start way back in the field and kind of having to wait for the dust to settle, pretty rotation up the order for Matt Taylor, really.
A good run here for Ryan Robbins. This is going to be, if he's able to keep it together here, this is going to be, no doubt, his best finish of the season. His best finish so far has been a 14th, but currently running in 7th. Taylor now up to 8th. He started back in like 24th, I believe. Kevin Miller running in 9th. Traskell, he is running in 10th, having a good run. He had a big incident he was involved in. But, started 14th, running in 10th. Best result for him has been a 12th. I think that was actually last week. DeGraw back there in 11th. I'm not sure what happened to Mark, but he has... Ooh, as he takes it around.
Oh.
DeGraw has turned the other way. That was self-induced. Yeah.
This is dangerous at best.
Let's see. Not sure what's going on with Mark.
And he's not on the throttle, so I don't know if he's... Oh, he's looking at... He must have the track map up, or he brought it up.
Yeah.
Which would be very clever.
Yeah, good job by him. And he's got it going again, but has lost a couple positions as a result of that spin. So he has fallen back to 13th. Burke jumps up to 11th. And Peter Burke, his best result has been a 22nd. So he's running just outside the top 10. Ekman in 12th. Gomez back at 14th. And Roth in 15th. So it looks like Moses first to act here in the pit lane. So pitting in on lap 9 for Chris Moses. And he is away and should be good to go to the end of the race.
Okay. Well, fair enough. We'll see where he comes out relative to that battle, that really somewhat close battle with Houston when Houston comes in. But really, the top 6 were covered pretty close before that stop. I mean, you know, it's 30 seconds or so, but it's one Samard spin away from, you know, all that changing, right? So
now the closest battle on track is this Parsons Kirkbride. Oh, is these guys, are they coming up on some lap traffic? It looks like they are. I believe that's Gomez and Roth. So these guys 15th. Looks like Gomez got a lead car ahead of him. That must be, yep, that's Samard. As Kirkbride is starting to close up on Omar here.
yeah, the race has turned into a true battle for survival now. Really an individual race against oneself and the nature of the beast.
Yeah, a lot of you run a lot of gaps out here, so you're kind of by yourself at times. It's hard to stay focused. Your mind starts to wander a little bit, make one little mistake, and it's game over.
Yeah, this really does not seem like that long a race, though. So that does help. The laps, they're long laps, but they do click off, and you know when you look up from a little time go by, a couple, 3 laps turn off, well, you know, shoot, there you go. 10% of the race is in the book, so that might help a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of odd. It's a large, you know, it's a big track, but you know, 3-minute. You look at it on paper, you wouldn't think it'd be a 320 something lap time around this place. But the straights are so. It's such a fast track that these guys get through it quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's Parsons now. I don't know what this Parsons going to do. He's been scheming for, I can guarantee it, for the last half hour. Exactly how it is he's going to try to get by Kirkbride. They second, okay, can I stop earlier? Can I get into the pits a little earlier? Maybe gain some track time that way? What the hell can I do? So
ooh, Samard has pitted. Oh, yeah. Samard is in. He is in the pits. So.
Well, that's lap 10
lap
for him,
10.
right?
Yep. So Hefner, Kirkbride, Parsons, they've all stayed out. Moses has pitted. And oh, here comes Houston. This is going to be dicey. But Houston gets past. Let's see what Houston does here. This is This is going to be interesting here to see how this plays out. Houston,
I am not
let him by or what? Go ahead, sorry.
I'm not a fan of blocking in any way. I think it's pretty lowbrow. If there's ever one situation for it, though, this might be it. This might be like the one situation where it's, you know, kind of maybe somewhat halfway okay, sort of. I mean, look, it's a dangerous track, but there's hardly anybody left out there. The laps are winding down. I mean, you can make a legitimate excuse that this is more, kind of for position, even though it's not, just because they're so much closer to the end of the race. I don't know, man.
There's a close call between Parsons and Omar there as that gap shrunk between Kirkbride and Parsons. It's down under a second. So Samar looks like he's got some pace on Houston. Houston gives up the spot.
And that's fine. And that's good. And he should. But I think there's a case that could be made of being, a little, But it's Parsons now who's managed to pick up the time on Kirkbride, huh?
Yeah, I think didn't see Kirkbride if he was slowed up at all trying to get by Omar. But that might have closed the gap up. That might have been what caused him to lose some time to Parsons. I don't know. But these guys making their way towards La Source, and they should be coming into the pits. Ooh, what happened?
There's a big lurch up there in front from Kirkbride. Your view, the TV view probably did not catch it. No. Yeah, well, it's going to be a race into the pits for these guys because they're coming and they're going to have to stop.
So it looks like this is going to be it, unless they can bring it out another lap.
Yeah, I think it's going to have to be.
Sorry, Ekman and Burke. It's getting close here. Kirkbride taking it way wide, exiting La Source, nearly hit the wall. Let's see, Kirkbride going to come in? No, they're going to stay out. They are staying out. On board with Ekman here, as he tries to put Burke down a spot.
You watch that battle. I'm staying on board this Aaron battle. If he can get past, he would sure like to do it before stops. Both these guys want to lead going into stops. That's for sure.
Given Samart's outlap, he's pretty much unimpeded, so he should be. Okay, it's going to be a quicker stop for Parsons and Kirkbride. They're going to be pitting later and taking less fuel, so it's going to be really close between the three of them. Samard and Hefner's actually going to pick up some time too. So,
well, it's a long lap, so yeah, it's only a couple laps worth of fuel, but it's a lot of fuel relative to normal lap, sure. It should be pretty. You're right. Should be pretty good saving in the pits.
Go Ekman on Peter Burke, and pass made. DeGraw in the mix here as well. Whoa, 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 whoa. Some anxious moments there as DeGraw looks like he's going to get past Burke as well. He does.
And Burke really wants to finish this race. So, all right, just go ahead, whatever, man. Just let me get my blinders on and let you guys through, because I don't want to jack with it.
Taylor coming up on Ryan Robbins here. Things are starting to heat up here.
Yeah.
Taylor looking to jump up to 7th. Exiting Eau Rouge. Taylor, yeah, he gets past Robbins. So nice pass there from Taylor.
Aren't any incidents at we assume that they're going to stop on this lap. I mean, that's what we heard. Maximum of 12 laps.
Working lap 11. Coming up on DeGraw is Kirkbride. Does a good job getting out of the way. No issue there.
Close eye on that car ahead in case he makes a mistake. So you can take avoidance if you're Kirkbride. You got laser focus right now on Joel Ekman. I can guarantee it.
Yeah,
oh, well, see, just for that reason.
Whoa, what happened here as... Yeah, Ekman with a bit of a moment there.
He was simply slow, but the way these cars handle, and you have to drive ahead of them, he had to back off way early for that mistake in front. It was Aaron taking that. No.
Kirkbride in, Parsons in. So let's see how this stop transpires. Hefner's going to pull it in here. Let's see, this should be a pretty quick stop for both guys. Parsons already getting fuel. Here comes Hefner. Kirkbride is away. Where is Samard? There goes Samard. Come, ooh, just beats out. Just beats out Kirkbride. That was very close. What happened to Parsons? Still in the pit lane. I wonder if he took tires. Very long stop for Parsons. And Hefner gets out ahead of him. Big mistake there from Aaron Parsons. His teammate Houston's away. 30-second stop. So we got a race here. 3 laps to go.
Yeah, well, if Smart was laying back a little bit in that first stint, he's really not going to be given the option to lay back here in the last 3 laps. Kirkbride, I think, well, I don't know. Maybe he won't try to push the issue. He does have a substantial lead. He can certainly afford to give Samard the points.
If Burke's having some type of issue, it seems like he's giving up spots here. The guys, Gomez gets passed for 13. But yeah, that gap's starting to increase between Samard and Kirkbride now, 1.5 seconds. Oh, what a break for Kirkbride. Gives him a little bit of breathing room. Got a bunch of time over his teammate, Hefner. But Parsons now with probably could be, in terms of the race, the mistake of the night there at the very long pit stop. My guess is he either filled it full of fuel by mistake or took tires. Because everybody's stop was around 13, 14 seconds.
Yeah, well, either one of those situations is certainly not going to help him try to recover back to 3rd place here. He's clearly going to do what he can, but we saw in that first stint that he was not, that much faster than Hefner. A little bit here and there, but certainly didn't have wasn't pulling fistfuls of time off of Zach.
So Kirkbride actually picks up a little bit of time on Samard. Down to about a second.
Yeah, it's going to change in the corners pretty quickly sometimes, depending on little slide mistakes, But I mean, we saw those guys more or less dead level even, and then Samard finally started gapping slightly, but they're very close on speed. The question is, does Samard have any in the tank? Could he have pushed harder that first stint to open up a bigger gap? And the question is, is he going to have to now? Is Kevin Kirkbride going to try to push a little bit, try to get up to him? Yeah, maybe.
Oh, you got to call it. Ooh, that gap is starting to come down again. You got to call into question that decision by Moses to pit as early as he did, as Houston now is ahead of him by 18 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh, big lockup from Samard at La Source. I think Kirkbride thinks he can win this race. He's got him right in his sights.
Yeah, maybe. I think if I'm Kirkbride, I more or less shut it down. I have my teammate back behind me, some 17 seconds back. I mean, I'd totally shut it down. I'd just start running 5 seconds off the pace and making sure I hit every line. I can kind of screw you up if you slow down too much, but I wouldn't do anything to jeopardize second. With the points position the way it is right now, yeah, I wouldn't be too saucy. Looks like that's what Peter Burke's doing times 50. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, I was wondering about that, but
he might have some controller issues. His pedal might not be full range.
so Parsons now on top of Zach Hefner here. Since the roles are reversed, Hefner is Kirkbride's teammate after winning last week at Zandvoort. But looks like Parsons may have a run on him. Parsons going to make it stick. Looks like he is.
Yeah. It's actually one of the safer places to try to pass. The grip there is pretty consistent, both on the inside and outside lines. And it's a pretty consistent radius of corners, so it's actually a pretty good place to be able to get up alongside. But this is going to be a bit trickier here.
Something's got to give here. Ooh, and Hefner thought better of it.
Yeah, and he backed off really early too, so that was good to see. I mean, one of them.
Check back up front with the leaders here, Kirkbride and Samard. Yeah, hanging around 0.8 to a second between these two.
Yeah, right now it's Kirkbride and Hefner that can really put a stranglehold on this team point situation. Honestly, I mean, 6 rounds left after this or something like that. They would have to really start crashing out of events themselves for people to start catching up. So this would be a good event to make sure they finish in 2nd and 4th.
Well, given what we've seen so far, it's unlikely, as we've run some very, very difficult circuits so far. Between the two, they've completed all but 1 lap. So
yeah,
finishing every race so far. So unlikely to happen. But anything's possible. It's a long season. I mean, we saw Kirkbride have a little incident with Samard last week and have some contact, but didn't affect his car in terms of suspension. And these cars are very susceptible to suspension damage if you hit the wall. So you really, really have to be perfect with these things, especially in tight circuits like Monaco, for instance.
Yeah. Yeah, so things settled down for that 3rd spot a little bit. Aaron Parsons managed to sneak by and is gapping a bit, but it was Aaron Parsons a couple seasons ago at this track, Al, if you remember, crashed himself like on the last lap.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah, that race we only had 5 finishers at that most deadly of races. Houston in the pits late here, Al.
Late. He's away.
Damage.
With damage, and
he's just coming in.
He's just coming in now. Wow. Not what T-Brock Dam Bam needed. So that moves Moses up to 5th. Taylor may actually...
Yeah.
He stops it quite long with suspension repair, so Taylor may actually clip him here for 6th. And perhaps Kevin Miller. Kevin Miller only 2 seconds off of Taylor. This is going to be a long stop for Houston. Taylor and Miller are gonna get past. Pick up a spot that's gonna drop Houston down to 8th. Well, actually, Robbins may pick up a spot here as well.
Yeah, Miller, 3:29.5. I have to think this is a case of Miller catching Taylor, or has Taylor gotten by Miller?
I'm not sure. I think Taylor actually got past Kevin Miller. Back out front, coming up on some lap traffic here for Samard. That's Omar.
Guys, Omar Gomez, teammate Iggy Giordia put in a ton of work this week. Iggy was looking strong, nearly in the top 10 before he had a crash. Teammate Omar running almost in the top 10 himself. Really looking forward to these guys getting some good points here in this event tonight. Omar's got to carry the torch.
A mistake from Samard. Iggy with a nice lift there. Lets Kirkbride pass. Gap now down to 4/10. Kirkbride is not settling for second. He's going for this.
Yeah, he is looking pretty racy. Yep, I agree. So, I mean, and that's fine. You can play it either way. I mean, another way to look at it is I've got a points lead, so why not push? Because if I make a mistake, I don't hurt myself that bad, right?
So Kevin Kirkbride towing 60 kilograms of ballast to Samard 0. Lap times tell the story here right now. It's 3:28.3 for Samard best before his stop. 3:28.8 for Kirkbride. Pretty amazing lap time. 3:29 flat for Parsons.
Yeah, clearly Kirkbride is pushing the issue, but he's got about 3 minutes and 10 seconds left to get the job done, because this is it. Samarta's on his final lap.
Working the final lap of the race. Oh, Omar! One to go. He is out.
Kidding me. They should still get points, right?
Oh, yeah. So Burke and Ekman, they're close up together here as they're exiting Eau Rouge. Ekman may get a run on Burke. Still keeping our eye on that gap out front.
Yeah, I'm on that battle. It's pretty clear Samard has the early pace on the early part of the lap, and then around Stavolo, that the balance of power does shift somewhat to Kirkbride's favor. So a little bit better through the twisties, I would say, is Kirkbride. What twisties that there are on this field.
Ekman has a look on the inside of Burke. Decides against the move.
Burke looking a little bit more racing now that there's an actual direct fight for position going on.
Taylor sets his best lap of the race with a 3:29.8. Taylor. Oh. Gap starting to shrink some more here. On board with Kirkbride for the lead here.
Yeah,
may be able to get a run on him.
Yeah, you got around that corner very well. I forget the name of this corner coming up, but it's a difficult left-hand kink followed by a right-hand flat out if you're really super careful. I think he's going to have to wait to see if he can get a better run off the second kink, or maybe, because it's going to be a tough run into, can't really make a move into this one. Well, you got to get a good run off of here, and then you got a chance at him at Blanchimont. But oh boy!
Incredible action here to close the race. The last lap. Kirkbride having a look on the inside for the lead. He got him. Samad now looking to counter.
Oh, he's running wide.
Oh, he takes it wide. He takes it wide. Samad gonna make his way past again? He does. Into La Source. He's gonna go for broke here. He does. Saves his braking way late. Oh, and he can't hang on to it. Samad's gonna take the win. Unbelievable finish here for Samad, taking first, Kirkbride in second. Really put on a good effort there at the end. Parsons going to come home in third on the last spot on the podium. Good run for Parsons. After taking fourth. Let's see, this is for 10th. Oh! Who was that took it off? DeGraw and Ekman. These guys are for position here. DeGraw's got it going. Oh, Ekman's going to take the spot.
Yeah,
finishing
like
12th.
DeGraw was waiting for him, so maybe he had clipped Ekman or something, yeah.
Mose is going to come home in 5th. Let's see here, Taylor and Miller. These guys are still circulating here, but it looks like Taylor's going to come into La Source ahead of Miller and, barring any mistakes, finish in 6th. Miller's going to finish right behind him in 7th. Ryan Robbins going to take 8th. It's the best result of the season, followed by Houston. And Traskell's going to finish in 10th on the lead lap. Good job, buddy. All right, we got our winner here, Philippe Samard. Philippe, do you copy?
Good evening, gents.
Well, congratulations. And, man, what a finish you guys had there tonight. Kirkbride actually taking the lead late there in the race to make things interesting, but as Traskell runs out of fuel. Walk us through that. Well, let's start with qualifying first. You really put down an incredible lap there in qualifying, had the field covered by over a second. But after that, it looks like you were pacing yourself in the first stint, pitted earlier than most of the other guys. I think you and Moses were the earliest ones to pit. Looked like it cost you a little bit of time there, taking more fuel than if you had stayed out.
Yep, it's always the we've seen that all season. Kevin and Zach like to take a lot of fuel. I don't really like it because it gives a too big difference in the tire pressures early on versus at the end. So we always have to cover the fact that they're going to carry more fuel. My target gap was 7 seconds when I pitted. I think I had 6.6, and I got held up a little bit by John Houston on my out lap. That was tight going out of the pits. I wasn't sure if I was going to make it, but yeah, in qualifying, I think I nailed this lap in qualifying. I like this track. It's not like Zandvoort where if you get it slightly wrong, you're in big trouble. Here you could get it slightly wrong and recognize it and do the things to fix it mid-corner, and then just take the 1/10 loss and keep going. I like those tracks a lot.
So talk us through the end there. Had you made a mistake? Was it traffic that held you up? How was it that Kirkbride managed to close up? I know it was pretty close exiting the pits between you and him, but he was really able to reel you in there in some of those straights.
He was more or less 1 second after the pit stops, and that gap was kind of constant. Every lap I was watching the gaps, and every time we were going downhill, so the most second half of the lap, it was catching me. The weight, I think, gives more pace to the car going downhill. So every lap it was catching me at the end of the lap, and then I was building a gap up Eau Rouge and going up the hill. And on the last lap, I think we caught Omar Gomez, and it was fine. It was okay, but it cost me half a second, and then Kevin was really close. He made a move on the slide downhill, which he had 5 extra kilometers per hour than me, and he had me. I mean, he had me. I wouldn't have come back, but he just went off just a little bit on the left-hander. I was able to come back.
Yeah, well, it was a good win. Congratulations. It's still a relatively desperate point situation for you, though, however. After winning the first couple of rounds, of course, it's been only a single point in the last couple of events. And it is the Kevin Kirkbride and Zach Hefner show kind of out front. So it's going to have to be recovery mode for the rest of the season. Did you see those guys? You see any cracks in the armor from those guys going forward? Are they finally going to make those 1 or 2 mistakes, which is going to allow you and, frankly, everybody else to catch back up a bit?
No, I don't think they'll do any mistakes. They'll be up there every race. We just have to grind it back and hope for the best, because I don't see them, doing the stuff that I did in the previous 2 races. But we can grind it back, with 26 points. It's 6 points a race. We see that the ballast doesn't really make a big difference. We can be at the front even with maximum ballast, so we can grind it back. It's going to be hard, but we can do it, I think.
Well, congratulations, Philippe. It was a tremendous drive there. Made it very interesting there at the end. Pretty exciting finish. But again, congrats, and we'll see you next week at Silverstone. And good luck.
Thank you.
All right. Well, started out pretty hectic, Brad. Things kind of wind down, but that finish was pretty remarkable. Had Kirkbride not run it a tad wide there heading into La Source, he would have had that win.
Yeah, I mean, we almost were talking to somebody else on the little post-race chat there, weren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, so look, I don't know what these guys are going to have to do, but I think, if I'm Moses or Parsons or Houston or one of these guys, I'm thinking about trying to gather everybody together and saying, look, this is all hands on deck. We have to share all the information we can kind of amongst ourselves, see if we can't get the car figured out to the extent that some of those other teams have. Look, it's very clear that they're missing something, because you don't gain that much time on guys like Chris Moses and Aaron Parsons and John and all those other guys that consistently. It doesn't happen. You can get away with it for a race or two. If you're doing it for half a season, then you are missing something with the car. Okay?
Yeah.
So my recommendation to those guys is to get together and figure it out fast, or else it's the season's more or less over for them, right? Other than that, it was a good race. Look, we upped our percentage to drivers that finished to somewhere around the the 43 percentile range, up from that 33 and won a race. So that's a big jump, Al, and I can't wait to run this track again. It's always an exciting time.
Oh, I think I was muted. But yeah, it's going to do it for us here tonight. We're going to be back Thursday night from Spa, the modern day version of Spa and the GT cars, 9 p.m. Eastern. Until then, we are going to be back next Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern, from Silverstone, 1967. So tune in for that one if you can. Hope everybody enjoyed the show tonight. And Brad, thank you again. And thanks everybody for tuning in. Have a great night. Take care.